Need to have this off mute. Okay, great. So, welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Capistrano Valley. For those of you who are not part of our center or visiting, we're so happy to see you today. And just to let you know that we're doing this workshop on a love offering basis. So, I'm pretty sure we're going to have a break halfway through. So, just before the break, we'll pass the basket. You can put your check or cash in. Um, if you're writing a check, make it to CSLCV. So that's the initials of our center, CSLCV. Cash, whatever you want to do, that's just great. The restrooms are, Marlene, is the small door, is the door beside, okay, straight out the single door and either to your left or straight ahead or the restrooms. We have some snacks for you, and by all means, when it's okay with our speaker, go ahead and help yourself with the snacks, coffee, and water. We're grateful. We didn't know if anyone would have time to have had lunch first, so we have some sandwiches and things for you there. So, did I tell you who I was? No. My name's Heather Clark. I'm the senior minister here. I usually start with that, but anyway, I'm really happy to see you. Welcome, welcome, and for those of you who were here this morning, welcome back. I know we've had Dean here once before, and he is completely mesmerized, and he's the kind of teacher that I think gets his point across really well. I know that you're going to have a great afternoon. So with no more from me and way more from him, please welcome, speaking on natural meditation, Dean Sluyter.
Thanks so much. Hi. How you all doing? Good. Thanks for joining our little party today. This beautiful day when any sensible person would be outside doing something under the blue sky or watching the Olympics. So we'll be doing our own, exploring our own inner blue sky today. The inner sky, which is always there, always clear, whatever the weather is. Let's check our cell phones, shall we? And make sure that they're off, please. Well, it's a good point. And so what if we were in the middle of meditating and then a cell phone rang? And then what? Then all is lost. Then something from outside the spiritual sky, something from outside God has invaded, or, everything's fine. So everything's fine. How many of you were here last year when I was here? Great, okay. So the first thing I'd like to ask you, and probably the most important thing, is whatever associations you have with the word meditation. As we say in New Jersey, where I spent 33 years, forget about it. Okay? Just throw all that away. My dear friend Darren in the back picked out a quote from my book and blasted it out on social media the other day. It said something like, it's something about burning your program. That most people when they come to meditation, actually most people when they come to anything, come to a relationship, you come to the political news, you come to at every moment that you find yourself in, most people are they've got a program. They've got their program based on their past experiences. They've got a program of expectations. So it's like walking into the theater with your own program. And what's going on up on stage is great. It's perfect. Oh, there we go. Just burn your program and see what actually happens on the stage. Dean what's that crazy name? Sluyter? Dean Sluyter. What? Just burn your program. So that's my invitation to you. Burn your program. Okay? Because otherwise, you go, wait a minute, where's the part where Juliet meets Hamlet? And, it's, right? So just park your concepts at the door. You might find that refreshing. And actually, if nothing else happened, if we had a fire drill right now and we couldn't get back here, this is it, this is the end of the workshop, that's a pretty good one to walk away with. What if you just throw away your concepts? What if you just burn your program, your meditation program, your program for whatever moment you're going into, and just see what actually happens on the stage without having to be filtered through a bunch of concepts and expectations? That would be a whole different kind of life, wouldn't it? So, in the case of meditation specifically, most people associate the word with concentrating. I mean, if I had a dollar for every time someone has said, "Oh, you teach meditation," I can't do that. I can't concentrate to save my life. Me neither. Fortunately, natural meditation, which is what we're doing here, does not involve concentration, does not involve trying to still the mind, does not involve trying to feel a particular way, does not involve any kind of manipulation of the mind, because that would all be unnatural. Okay, if you've seen the cover of my book, it's a picture of a feather falling out of the sky. Okay, just like that, light as a feather. And the feather, when it starts to fall toward the ground, is going to reach the ground. Always, guaranteed, in 100% of cases, the feather reaches the ground. Drifts a little to the left, drifts a little to the right, might get stuck in a tree limb for a little while, but it will always reach the ground because gravity is irresistible. Now, what's the gravity in the case of human consciousness? There's something we're all gravitating toward in every moment. And it goes by different names. If we polled the whatever 20 people that are here, we might get 20 different answers. Some people would say happiness, some would say fulfillment, some would say freedom, some would say truth, some would say God. Health, yeah, health. In the biggest sense, health means, the word health is cognate with wholeness, integration. And they're really all different words for the same thing. Some people would say God, some people would say enlightenment, boundlessness. We're actually all being pulled toward that all the time. It's what we're looking for in every moment. When you're sitting in the restaurant, you're running your finger down the menu, what you're looking for is, you go, okay, should I have the chicken parm or should I have the, what you really want is the nirvana, but it's not on the menu. All right. So you settle for the chicken parm. And that's okay. Chicken parm's pretty good. But it's not the thing you're still settling. It's not the thing you're looking for. So we're and in everything, in relationships, in occupation, everything, we're really approximating nirvana as best we can in the context of each situation. But that it's the, it's kind of the blessing and the curse of being human. Is there's something else, something else. What is that? And that's why you guys are all, this. This is why you're sitting here instead of being out, parasailing or something in this beautiful day. That's why you're here. That's how some of you wound up at the CSL, possibly instead of whatever church you grew up in, because said, oh, maybe this is really nice, but there's something more, some real meaty spiritual content, some enlightenment that I'm not getting at my old place. So even without thinking about it, and probably most people don't consciously think about it, they're all being pulled toward that. So what we do in natural meditation is we let the gravity take over. We do as little as possible. We do virtually nothing, and we just get out of the way and allow the feather to fall in its own time. So that's why there's a picture of a feather here. Notice there's not a picture of a guy pushing a rock up a mountain, okay, which is how most people think of meditation. And actually how most people probably think of most things. You know, I hear people say, Yafa, this, by the way, this is my wife Yafa back there. Say hi. Okay. My much, much better half. And, you know, we hear, I mean, and we were just very, very lucky in our relationship situation. And we hear people sometimes say, yeah, we're working on the relationship. And I always think, boy, that sounds dismal. That if it's really, you know, what one would hope is it's a thing that you know, you come home from work. At the end of the day, you come home from work to the relationship and enjoy. So the main thing about natural meditation is we're not working. We're completely unemployed. So we're throwing out our concepts. So let's sit comfortably. And see what sitting comfortably entails for you in this moment, in the chair that you're in. These are pretty nice chairs. And hi, come on in. You're just in time. Now notice what's happened in the last 30 seconds or so. You notice that inside you're kind of feeling, okay, here we go, right? You see that thing, that little bit of, here we go. Okay, no, good. Well, you're an old hand at this stuff. Most people will have a little bit or a lot of, okay, here we go. You know, just some, okay, now we're engaging, you know, we're putting the car in first gear. Okay, or we're turning the key in the ignition and, okay, now, you know, we're going to hear the car idling and we know something's happening. So what I'm going to invite you to do is, we're just sitting in the car, it's a convertible, open the top, take the key and throw it off into the bushes. Not here we go, but here we are. We're already existing. We're already here now. We're already, since we're in church here, we could say we're already in the hand of God. Nothing we have to do. Here we are. So while we're sitting here we are. What's already going on? What's already going on? Look at your actual experience. Let's not be too quick to put words to it, but look at your actual experience. You know, in the most straightforward way. I'm seeing colors and shapes. I'm feeling the pressure of the chair on my back and my butt. Hear the sound of the air conditioning. Truck on the highway. Now, do all these experiences, do you have to do anything to experience these things? Or does it just happen? Yeah, it just happens. There's no effort involved. This is called awareness. Awareness is effortless by nature. It's effortless. Also notice, when do these experiences happen? Do you ever experience anything in the future? Listen, try to listen to 5 seconds from now. No, we can't do it. Or try to feel the chair 3 minutes ago. No. So experience, actual experience is always in the present. It's always effortless. It happens by itself. We have no role in it. We can, let's say, look to the left, look to your left. So you see certain objects, certain colors and shapes. You're aware those colors and shapes arise in the awareness spontaneously without effort. Then we look to the right. And now you've got a different set of shapes and colors arising spontaneously in the awareness. So 2 different views. 2 totally different views of stuff you're aware of. But what remains the same? What remains the same is we're aware. It's awareness. Awareness of this, awareness of that, but we're aware. That's the constant. We're aware of sight. We're aware of sound. Sight and sound are very different, but the awareness is the same. While you were driving here, being aware of all the sensations of the drive, you were aware. Exactly the same awareness, the same effortless, in the present awareness. Same awareness you had in kindergarten. Completely different bunch of sensations, different emotions. You looked down, you saw a different body, but the same awareness. The awareness itself, right? Different body, same awareness. So not someone else being aware of it. It's the same witness, the same silence, right? It's aware of all the sounds, aware of all the colors, but awareness has no sound, no color, just awareness. Nothing mysterious about it. It's the most familiar thing in the world. Literally the most familiar thing in the world, which is why we overlook it. It's where we're looking from, hearing from, thinking from. And we can't help it. There's nothing we can do about it. And it's true now. And it's true now. So let's close our eyes. That's all. Don't meditate, whatever you do. All we're doing is closing the eyelids. And what's different? Well, we don't see all those colors of the room anymore. We see different, subtler colors behind the eyelids. So now that's arising in the awareness. We still hear sounds arising in the awareness. Physical sensations. All of it coming and going on its own. As we just sit back here in the convertible, not starting any engine, not doing anything. Just resting as the silent awareness that's aware of all the passing stuff. Sounds come and go. Sensations come and go. Within the awareness remains the same. And it all happens by itself. There's nothing for us to manage. We're not the traffic cop of our own experience. Also, thoughts come and go, arising within the awareness and then passing away. And notice that thoughts are exactly like sounds, just a little quieter. So there's nothing special about thoughts. They're not supposed to not be there. They're fine. Just more stuff that we're spontaneously aware of, and they pass on. So we don't try to push away the thoughts, but we don't engage with the thoughts. We don't buy into them. They're just like another passing truck on the highway. And the thought that might seem, oh, so important and urgent, 5 minutes from now, we won't even remember it. So we just rest as awareness, rest as the silent witness of all the comings and goings, as we've always been. Not trying to concentrate or focus on anything, not trying to feel some special way or breathe some certain way or anything like that. That's all unnatural. If your position you're sitting in becomes uncomfortable, then change it. If your nose itches, scratch it. Natural. Nothing to do. Nothing to figure out. Nothing to maintain. If you find yourself subtly trying to maintain some angle, some anything, just drop it. That's just a concept. Also, feelings may arise within this silent awareness. They're called feelings because they feel certain ways. They're really sensations. So you might feel tranquil, or you might feel restless, or bored, or fatigued, or alert. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how you feel. It's just like different kinds of weather blowing through the sky. The sky has room for it all. So awareness is like the sky. It's like open space. It has limitless room for any kind of feeling, thought, sensation. The open sky, open space of awareness doesn't favor one kind of feeling or thought over another. It's all fine. It's all irrelevant. Even a tornado doesn't damage the sky. Sometimes you may feel that you've gone off on some long train of thoughts, and that's fine too. When you realize you've been off on that train of thoughts, when you realize it, you're no longer caught up in it. So then your next thought may be, oh, I got to get off of this train. I got to get back. But you're already off. And there's nowhere to go back to. All those thoughts have been happening right here. right here in this open space of awareness. Where else could they be? So there's never anywhere to go, never anything to do, never anything to fix or adjust. Those are just concepts. Those are just more thoughts within this space of awareness where you already are, which you already are. So just remain as this. And to remain as what you already are, there's nothing to do. We can notice that this awareness, which we are, this awareness from which we've been seeing and hearing all our lives, from this awareness we can see different colors, but awareness has no color. We can hear all sounds, be aware of all sounds, but the awareness itself is silent, is silence. We can be aware of all shapes and textures, but awareness itself has no shape or texture, no density, no edge. But don't try to look at it. It's where you're looking from. Nothing to do but let go into where we already are. Marinate in it. Give up to it, like soaking in a hot tub. Okay. So now let's keep the eyes closed, but take a few minutes to start stirring in the seat, maybe stretching your limbs a little, start easing the body back to a more active state. And then after a minute or two, when you feel ready, you can start to slowly crack the eyes open. But take your time. You might feel like squeezing your hands together a little or rubbing your face or your scalp a little and get the blood circulating again. Okay, how are we doing? Good. Any questions or observations, field notes about whatever you just experienced? Yes. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes people, I don't know if everyone heard that, she said that she finds that when she settles down, she tends to have an experience of seeing purple. Anyone else experience maybe some kind of color experience or something coming along? Some people get that a lot. Some people never ever get that, and that's fine. And that's fine. Um, I would say about that. We okay? Okay. Yeah, we're going to have a mic there. So I would say about that experience that and you've been doing stuff like this for a while, and you may experience every time you sit down to meditate, every time you settle for 15 years, that you see purple, and then the next time you see orange, or you don't see any colors. Okay. And then there's going to be a tendency, if you're like most people, to say, uh-oh, what's wrong? Purple is the color of settling for me. Okay. And this raises a more general point that for everyone here, whether you ever see colors or not. And I don't. People tell me they see colors. I'm not, in terms of my experience, I'm not sure what they're talking about. So, but fine. But so the more general point is to not get attached to any one experience, to not become too set in associating, okay, good meditation or successful settling down equals seeing purple or seeing orange or feeling this or feeling that. Because those are all phenomena. Okay? So if I experience a color in the room, a sound in the room, whatever, those are phenomena. Outer phenomena, what we call outer phenomena. I close my eyes and settle down and I see purple, or some people talk about hearing subtle inner sounds or feeling subtle inner textures or something. Fine, great, God bless. Those are also phenomena. They're subtle phenomena, they're inner phenomena, and they can be very pleasant, and they're completely irrelevant to what we're doing here. Okay? Because they're still things we're aware of. They're not awareness. Okay? There are different kinds of weather, still different kinds of breezes blowing through the sky of awareness. They may be really beautiful celestial breezes, with tinkling of angelic chimes and so forth. And we go, oh man, now I'm having a great spiritual experience. But it's still an experience. And what we're talking about here is something that is beyond all that. It's the experiencer, which is non-phenomenal. It's nothing. It's nothing. As my old teacher Maharishi, as I heard, he used to repeat everything hundreds of times. This is the thing I only heard him say once. Fuji, Italy, in 1972. He said, it's just nothing, but there's something very good about it. Okay? Now, does that ring a bell for people in terms of what happened just now as we were sitting? That somehow first of all, how many people felt that some kind of settling took place? Let's be basic here. Some settling down took place. And even if you're not sure whether settling down took place, that's fine. In fact, an old friend of mine, Dr. Keith Wallace, is a scientist who was involved in some of the pioneering studies on the physiology of meditation. And after someone had finished, he would have them meditating in the lab, and when they were done and he was taking the EEG leads off their scalp, he would ask them, well, what was that meditation like? And sometimes they'd say, oh, that one was really deep, it was really blissful. And sometimes they'd say, oh, that was really shallow and I never really settled down. And what he found was that objectively, physiologically, in both cases, the settling down is about the same. Yeah. It's interesting, and you notice there's something nice about hearing that. It means that not only are you not in control of what's happening, you can't even know what the hell's happening. Okay, you don't have the steering wheel, you don't even have the GPS. Okay, you're totally in the passenger seat. Okay. And so relax, and people have a tendency, okay, now I'm meditating, I know this is important, or I went and I devoted a Sunday afternoon to this, and I'm devoting all this time, and so I sit down, I want to get this thing right, and of course then that becomes self-defeating. So you just know that what happens in a particular meditation, it just doesn't matter. We're in it for the long term. And then paradoxically, when you don't worry about what happens in this particular meditation, then everything goes fine in this meditation. Okay. So most people experienced some settling took place. Some settling, some peace, something like that. Now, what did we do to make that settling take place? Did we do breathing exercises? No. Did I shoot you all with a tranquilizer dart? No. That's what I did. Did I make a large deposit in your savings account? That has a very relaxing effect on me. No. No. Okay. What did we do? Nothing. We closed our eyes, and I suggested that you rest as awareness. I pointed out that you are like the sky, you are like the open space of awareness, that everything is going on within this space, and to just leave it as it is. And when you leave it as it is, guess what? The feather floats to the ground. See, so this little idea that I discussed before that may have seemed a little abstract, now you see it's not abstract at all. Everyone in the room has experienced that now. So that's it. You got the deal. That's the whole principle of the thing. Just allowing the gravity to take over. And of course, because everything else, virtually everything else that we do in life involves some working at it, then of course it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. Too much sitting. Makes perfect sense that when we sit down to meditate, we have a tendency to bring those habits of work with us. Okay, I'm gonna, I was working at playing my violin. I'm working at flipping real estate. Naturally, we try to bring the same work ethic to this, and then we find out it doesn't work. Work doesn't work in this case. Okay, and that's okay. That you have to go through a certain amount of that. It's like, so in a sense, meditation it's like this road that they give you this road to run your car along until you run out of gas. And then open the convertible roof and just sit. So so that's going to happen inevitably. So my job here is to just kind of facilitate letting that, giving up sooner rather than later. Okay? What else other questions or observations about what happened? Yes? Yes, found yourself trying to control where you were going. It's exactly what I was talking about. And how many other people found themselves either briefly or for a lot of it trying to control where you were going? Probably, yes, okay. Right, it happens to everyone. That's exactly, thank you, because that's exactly what I'm saying. And you try to control, and did you succeed in controlling where you were going? Yeah, really? Yeah, and where did you go? Okay. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, if you want to control something in terms of, okay, I'm going to think about this or I'm going to deal with that or something, sure, you can do that, just like we can do that right now. But again, that's not what meditation's about. That's just thinking or planning or praying or something. And all those things have their place. We have to think sometimes. We if it's in our particular bag of tricks, we'll pray sometimes. Well, whatever. That's all great. But this is something else. This is recognize and this thing you can't control because there's nothing to control. But it's fine that you find yourself trying to control and then you go, you just have a good laugh at yourself. Here I am trying to do that again. Let go. And just let go again. Let go again. Let go again. Yes. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yep. Falling asleep. Yes. No. That's okay. People fall asleep on me all the time. No. Okay. I have some startling news for you. Thank you. You're stepping on my punchlines, lady. Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And guess what? There's a special significance when you fall asleep. You know what the significance is? You need some sleep. Yeah. It's fine. Falling asleep is fine. I promise you, if you fall asleep, the meditation police will not take you away and lock you up. It's fine. And I'll tell you the truth. Falling asleep in meditation is one of my very favorite things. It's delicious. Yeah, okay. So I really want you to hear what I'm saying here. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. In fact, my experience is that the sleep that comes during meditation seems to be particularly potent because it's being launched from that deep level of letting go. I travel a lot in this. I'm on planes a lot, going to do workshops in different places. And so, so I get up early, you don't get enough sleep. And so if, I'll sleep I'll meditate on the plane, fall asleep. And sometimes 5 minutes of that, like meditation sleep, is like getting an hour or two of regular sleep. So God bless. Don't worry about it. Good. What else? How many people, when we were opening our eyes at the end, found yourself wondering, well, first of all, did anyone find yourself wondering, geez, was I breathing? Does that ring a bell for anyone? Or during the meditation wondering, gee, have I been breathing? No. Yeah, okay. Sometimes people notice that because the breathing becomes so settled that they're not, but we're not particularly paying attention to the breathing, so that's fine. Anyone, when we were opening our eyes, find yourself wondering, gee, how long was that? Yeah, how long was that? Anyone notice? You notice that sometimes it's really hard to tell. Like, was that 5 minutes? Was that an hour? All right, is that ringing a bell for people? Yeah. And that's because, why is that? It's because actually time is a function of mind. Time is a function of mind. So is space, but that's so. Actually, did anyone notice when you open your eyes, you find yourself a little surprised to be in this room, a little surprised to be in this body? These are things that people report sometimes. There's subtle things. And it's because actually mind kind of generates the whole matrix of time and space. And as it becomes settled in meditation, it tends to stop doing that. So when you come back, people say, oh, I lost track of the time, or, oh, gee, I was surprised to be back in this room. Well, that makes perfect sense. It's just a function of the settling down. So I'm pointing these things out because some of these, if it didn't happen this time, it might happen another time. So you have a sense that it's all part of the kind of standard catalog of experiences. But the main thing is the ease of this, the naturalness of it. That there's not a bunch of stuff to remember. There's no skill to master. It's just, it's the letting go of trying to master anything. It's the letting go of trying to have skill, of trying to get anywhere. It's the giving up. And as a couple of people said, of course there's a tendency, I'm trying to control it, there's a saying in the Tibetan tradition. They say, Gompa Ma Yin. Gompa Yin. Gompa Ma Yin means meditation is not. Meditation isn't. There's no such thing as meditation. There's no thing for us to do. Why do we have this word meditation? So you can relate to what we're doing or what we're non-doing here. Because otherwise, if the CSL put the thing in the newsletter saying, come on Sunday afternoon for nothing, no one would come. I once tried to sell my publisher. I tried to pitch him a book called No Self, No Help. It was going to be the last self-help book called No Self, No Help. And he looked at me and said, no sale. So it turns out to be nothing, but we create this word to have a framework, to have some shingle to put on the door so people will show up. But even though there's nothing to do, even though Gompa Ma Yin, meditation is not, we find ourselves trying to control it, trying to make it into something, trying to make it into a project, a task. Of course, fine. And that's why there's the next line, Gompa Yin, getting used to is. We're so used to doing that we have to get used to non-doing. And that's why it's good to sit down regularly. It's really good to sit down, ideally every day, to get used to doing nothing. Otherwise, you wouldn't need this whole idea of practicing meditation. You'd only have to do it once. You'd sit down, you'd settle into, oh, here we are, just being. Just being. No time, no space. It's just nothing, but there's something infinitely good about it. Oh, yeah, the kingdom of heaven is within you. Oh, yeah, nirvana, the samsara out there, there's nirvana in here, great. And then I open my eyes, no difference, except that my eyes are open and I can walk around like this. In principle, that's the way it should be. In fact, we shouldn't even have to do it once. If that's the reality of life, we should just be walking around. Oh, yeah, cool. All right? But we have to, for most people, there are a few people who really, they only have to do it once. Or they only have to, some people will hear it, they'll read. And you know what, probably, particularly a group like this that have, shown up here on a Sunday, probably a lot of you have had experiences like that. You read one line in a book of philosophy, or you read one line in the Bible or something, and it's just, oh yeah, right. Yeah. Wow, we're all one. Or, whatever words triggered it for you. Oh yeah, the kingdom of heaven. Oh yeah. Or maybe you were listening to whatever. Bob Marley, don't worry about a thing. Every little thing's going to be all right. And you go, wow. He didn't go far enough. Every little thing is all right. What's the line? Not every hair on your head, not a sparrow drops to the ground. That isn't, all in God's hand, if that's your vocabulary. Yeah, it's all cool. But for most of us, we have to do some practice. We don't experience that. And because we have such a strong instinct, such a strong intuition that is the ultimate reality of life, there is a temptation to just kind of try to do it intellectually, philosophically, or do it on the level of mood. Okay, I know it's all in God's hand. Everything's fine. Yeah, I love everyone. I'm ready to kill him, but I'm going to love him. I'm going to love him if it kills me, right? And that's it's a gesture in the right direction, but ultimately it's not good enough, is it? The real thing, Jesus didn't have to work at loving people. The Buddha did not have to work at loving people, at being, at having equanimity. The real thing is just, you're it. So seeing that, and seeing it comes through practice. So it's really good to sit down every day. Ideally, find a time in your schedule where you can do it every day. Build it in your schedule like brushing your teeth. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something. Don't worry about the time. Throw away the clock. Just sit for a little while. Forget about the time. Sit for a little while. Even if it's 1 minute. You have someone who's completely caught up in all the drama and trauma of life for 24 hours a day. Take the same person, have them caught up for 23 hours and 59 minutes. 1 minute of the day, they let it all go. That's a big difference, even if it's 1 minute. Everyone has 1 minute. Don't tell me you don't have time to meditate. Everyone. So if nothing else, if you want to know this is my main recommendation. Take 1 minute a day, but every day. And then while you're sitting there, once you're for 1 minute, you'll probably hang around for longer. Yes? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I'll take care of it later.
Mm-hmm.
And then it does what on mine, and then I can get to the focus.
Yeah.
But it really works for me. Just
Yeah.
saying to myself, okay, I hear you, but I'll take care of it later.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful point. Really, that's a very, very effective perspective, I think. You know, the thing that can seem so urgent, that's like, okay, I know I'm sitting here letting go of my thoughts, but this thing I got to deal with, and 5 minutes later, you can't even remember what it was sometimes. But in any case, yeah, do that. I'll take. In a sense, meditation is a time that we carve out. We put a little fence around it and say, this is the time when the thoughts come knocking at the door and saying, you must deal with me, I'm not going to answer the door. I'm not going to answer. I'll tell them, okay, yeah, I'll answer it later. I'll answer it later. Now, an interesting thing happens when you practice that way regularly, especially, the thoughts that tend to be troubling or obsessive. That thing, that problem with that person, that thing I was worried about, whatever. Every time that thought knocks on the door and you don't answer the door, that thing is losing some of its power over you. It's losing some of the hooks in you. The hooks are coming out. I'm mixing metaphors here a little. Yeah. After a while, it'll get tired of knocking and go away. Okay. Now, one thing that we need to be very clear about, though, is when we say, okay, just let the thoughts go, don't answer the door, people will sometimes confuse that with trying to push the thought away. Okay. Now, so let's say, okay, this is your mind. This is a thought on your mind. Everyone remember those commercials with the frying pan and the egg? This is your, what was it? This is your brain on drugs. Okay, so this is a thought on your mind. Okay. During the course of the day, we have to deal with thoughts. We engage with them. That's fine. It's a wonderful facility that we have that we can think about. We can do algebra and plan for next month and so forth. A rock can't do that. It's one of the blessings of being human. So this is what we do during the day. Now, during meditation, we've decided not to engage in the thoughts. But then people often think, okay, thought comes along, I got to push it away. Well, look what pushing it away looks like. It's just another form of engaging in it and doesn't work. So here's the third thing to do. Just relax your grip. Don't worry about whether it hangs around or not. It's none of your business. It doesn't matter. And then in time, it drops off on its own, in its own time. None of your business. You have no control. It doesn't matter that it's there as long as you just relax your grip. As long as you don't answer the door. Doesn't matter if they're there, huh? Or the phone, or what? Yeah, it's just like phone. It's like being in a crowded restaurant. All the conversations happening at the other tables. See, you're all experts. You know how to do this. You've all eaten in a crowded restaurant. Do you have to block it? Do you have to invoke your superpowers to block out the conversations at all the other tables? No. Do you go around shushing everyone at the other? No. But that's how most people would approach meditation. They think it's a process of shushing. So you just treat all those thoughts as being like the conversations at the other table. We come and go. We don't bother about it. We don't try to push it away, but we don't eavesdrop on it. Good. What else? What else? Is everyone getting the simplicity of this? The simplicity, the naturalness. There's nothing to it. Mostly what we're doing here, can you see what we're doing is we're not building up, we're not constructing something for you to do. We're deconstructing all the things people think they have to do. And then what's left is Gompa Mayen. Meditation is not. Good. Good. So as people practice this with some regularity, what happens? Well, if you're practicing the way I'm saying, there is no easier to get. What's easier than doing nothing? What's easier than nothing? No, it doesn't get easier. You won't get any better at it. But the thing is, as long as we think about it in terms of phenomena, as long as we think about it in terms of, okay, I know I'm meditating right when I hear celestial chimes, or when I see yellow or something, then we're going to think, okay, I'm getting better at it because this time I heard the chimes for 75% of the time. The last time it was only 65%. Then there's no end to that road. But if we really get that it's just everything comes and goes, and it's not even a matter of letting it, we say let it come and go as it comes and goes. There's a wonderful, beautiful, beautiful summary of this process of natural meditation from one of the sages that I really draw inspiration from, Sri Ramana Maharshi, great mid-20th century Indian enlightened sage. He said, let what comes come, let what goes go, see what remains. Okay? Let what comes come, let what goes go, see what remains. Right? The clouds come and go, the breezes come and go, the tornadoes come and go. What remains? The sky, the space, this awareness. Non-phenomenal, nothing, but something very good about it. It's what we're looking for all the time when every time we sit down in the restaurant. This is why you never find it, because you're it. It's the one that's been looking. I want to read you a little something from this here book, Natural Meditation, on this point. Once upon a time, a little musk deer was wandering through the forest with his mother. Suddenly, he noticed a lovely scent, the sweetest, most alluring scent he had ever smelled. Enchanted, he left his mother's side to follow the scent through the forest, searching for its source. He had to find out where it came from. He sniffed the flowers, the shrubs, the trees, the rocks, the streams, the other animals, but couldn't find its origin. One day, having investigated everything in the forest, he came to its edge, then proceeded into the unknown precincts of the wider world, still on his quest. Years went by. His search took him to all the continents, all the way around the world. Finally, he found himself back in the forest, exhausted and near death from his long journey. He staggered into a familiar-looking clearing. There he found his now aged mother and collapsed at her feet. With his waning breath, he told her of his long, fruitless journey. At last his mother said, "Ah, you poor thing. Don't you understand? You're a musk deer. That beautiful scent is your own." That's the story of our lives. As expounded in an Indian wisdom tale, we've gone from one experience to another, searching for the bliss that was the nature of the experiencer all along. Only some temporary confusion in which a body or a personality was mistaken for I needs to be seen through. The I that we've always looked from turns out to be what we were looking for. The scent of the musk deer is the same one taste that's found in everything, the deliciousness of life that we instinctively seek in every moment till sooner or later we discover that tag, you're it. Okay. So that's what happens when you continue to meditate. More and more, that that one taste, that flavor of boundlessness, that non-phenomenal awareness that we've always been, but which has been in the background because it's where we've been looking from. More and more it moves into the foreground. More and more we're consciously boundless, non-phenomenal awareness. More and more we're consciously what we were looking for all along, that fulfillment that we, because what happened before that? We keep trying to find that from all the outer circumstances. If I get just get everything lined up just right. Okay, I'm having a good hair day. Had a good meal. My digestion's just right, and got a good night's sleep. I went to the right movie. I went to the blood pressure's good. Health insurance is paid for. Right? We keep trying to line up all the circumstances, and of course, in a common sense way, we continue to do that. We don't want things to spin into chaos. But ultimately, we can't control all that stuff. That's the problem with trying to gain fulfillment from those outer things. There is no fulfillment in outer objects. We take any object. We take this pen, and if we take this pen into the lab and we tear it apart and we break it down to its constituent elements, we might find, I don't know what we'll find in here. I don't know, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, I don't know. But one element I know, I can guarantee you will not find is happiness. There is no happiness in the pen, or in the glass of water or in the ukulele. But I know I'm really happy to play my ukulele. Okay, if you're playing golf, there's no, if you take a golf ball apart, you're not going to find any happiness in the golf ball or in the cup or in the grass and on the fairway, the putting green. Yet you experience happiness when you sink the hole in one. Why is that? Let's examine it. What happens at that moment? You're trying to line up the shot, you're trying to get it. At the moment that you sink the hole in one, what happens? You've succeeded, and then for that moment, you're no longer trying. You stop striving. And at that moment, what happens is you settle back into yourself. So when people say, oh, I don't need meditation, I meditate on the golf course, which people have told me, they're actually right. They're actually right, except that it only happens in those little moments. It and then what happens if you develop arthritis and you can't play golf anymore? Or what happens when you get frustrated, the stereotypical thing, the guy he breaks his golf clubs and he throws them in the lake and all that because he's missing his shots. And we can't guarantee making all our shots in golf or in life. In any area of life, there's no guarantees. As you may have noticed, I think everyone in this room is of a certain age to have noticed that things get screwed up in various, sometimes highly entertaining ways. We really enjoy living in our sweet little bungalow under the palm trees in Santa Monica. I'm going, boy, this is really nice. We counted, there's 20 nice places we can walk to for breakfast and get a good breakfast. It's really sweet, till the tsunami hits or whatever. We're all one banana peel away from things from not being able to do a lot of the things perhaps that we associate with being happy. That's the bad news. The good news is you're here in this room today because you kind of know that. And that you realize that all those things, and I play my ukulele when the golfer sinks the hole in one, it's facilitating settling back into yourself. So in that sense, what meditation is doing the exact same settling into yourself, but without anything external, without the golf ball, without the ukulele, without anything. And then, so what happens as you practice this long term? More and more, that experience of settling into oneself. Oh yeah, I'm the musk deer. That beautiful fragrance, which is boundlessness, which is just nothing but something very good about it. Which in the early days of practice can seem kind of, gee, did that really happen? Did I experience that? I got some, it seems very unsure, and that's fine. That's perfect. I feel like some settling happened. Great, that's plenty. But it becomes more and more clear, and what's more significant is that more and more it sticks to us as we come out. It becomes, more, well, the thing is, since that's our nature, since that's the nature of awareness all along, we could say automatic, the recognition of it becomes automatic. The being of it already is there. The recognition becomes more automatic. And actually, I like the way you put that, because there are things we can do. It's not just sitting, on your seat or your meditation cushion once a day. A lot of things that for instance, when you're sitting there at the red light, and when you're sitting there and you're in a hurry and you're trying to make the light turn green faster. Okay. Anyone here ever done that? Okay. Has anyone here ever succeeded? No. And here's my personal promise to you. One of the few promises I will make anyone. You will never, ever, ever succeed. You'll never make the light turn green even 1 nanosecond faster. Now, can you feel how liberating that knowledge is? It means you can give it up. Instead of sitting there trying to make the light turn green, sit back. That's meditation. Anytime you're sitting back, they even tell you that, in the safety spiel when you're about to take off on an airplane. They explain to you how a seatbelt works. We have a favorite New Yorker cartoon. The flight attendant is given the spiel, she's doing this, and everyone is bored. They're looking at their iPads, and one guy's looking, and he's thinking, sweet mother of God, so that's how a seatbelt works. But then the last thing they tell you in the safety spiel is, sit back and enjoy the flight. Notice the next time you take a plane, they always say that. Sit back. Right? It's a meditation instruction. Sit back in the seat. Okay. I've got a thing in this book about meditation postures. And, there's all the classical postures, the half lotus and the full lotus, which is fine if that's easy and natural for you, which for most people in the West, it's not. But what's more important is, I got these 2 pictures of basically 2 ways. I don't know if you can see this from here. The thinker, if you've ever seen, everyone knows Rodin's thinker, right? Leaning forward. Okay? So if you really want to be a thinker, if you want to stimulate thoughts and really be caught up in it, then this is a really good posture for that. Okay? And then if you go across the Seine to the, what's the other museum? I forget. You see this wonderful ancient Egyptian sculpture, the seated scribe. And he's sitting back. Not lazy, but he's attentive, but he's sitting back. And just, okay, whatever comes, he's ready for. Whatever the Pharaoh dictates next, he's ready to take it down. He's not imposing his own thoughts. Just sit back. So every moment, everything in your life, you can more and more start to use it, so it becomes more automatic. And then more and more, you don't even have to do that after a while. That stuff. You just know it's like, meditation is like in the old prison movies where, when the convict escapes and they give the bloodhounds his dirty sock to smell, and then they loose the hounds and they go running all over the fields and up and down the stream, and they pick up the scent everywhere. So in that sense, meditation is like smelling a dirty sock. What a lovely thought. So you get the scent, and then more and more, because that's the nature of awareness all the time, you just pick it up everywhere. So, so more and more we become awake. That's what the word Buddha means. We become Buddhas, not Buddhists, necessarily. Buddhas means awake beings, awake to what we are, who we are. We got caught up in thinking, oh, you're Dean. You're lying there in the crib and you hear this name. Hey, Dean, hi, Dean, you're so cute. Hey, Dean. And after a while, you say, I must be this Dean thing they keep talking about. But of course, that's just a sound. That's just a sound. That's one of the reasons why in some spiritual paths, when you get to a point where you're going to be serious about it, they give you a new name. It's like you throw away the old name. Of course, then the problem is people start taking their new name seriously, thinking, okay, now I'm, there's a ritual they do where in India, when you take on your new name, your spiritual name, they take a little piece of white camphor and they burn it, and that represents your old name being burned. And actually, one teacher who gave me a spiritual name, and with the way he did the ritual, which was so cool, he had two pieces of camphor that he burned, one representing the old name and one representing the new name. Okay, so we think, oh, I'm a name, I'm a body, but the body keeps changing. This is not the body that I was looking out at when I was 17. It's not the thoughts, right? We say, I am a conservative, I am a liberal, I am a Christian or a Buddhist or an atheist or whatever. So here's my question to you. When you are fast asleep at night, in the state of dreamless sleep, are you a Republican or a Democrat? Are you a Christian or an atheist? It's not even, it doesn't matter. It's none of the above. You're not any of those things then, because those things are made out of thoughts. They're not you. They are thoughts coming and going within this boundless, non-phenomenal awareness, which is what you are. They're just like clouds passing through the sky. Some clouds pass very quickly, like, oh man, these fish tacos look really great. Yum, yum. Yeah, these fish tacos are delicious. And then, a few days later, you forget about the fish tacos. So those are fast-moving clouds. Some clouds move very slowly. I am a Christian. I am a Republican, or whatever it is. They may move so slowly that they may be there your whole life. So it's really easy to identify with them and think that that's what you are. But it's still phenomenal. It's still not the experiencer. It's stuff being experienced. And it can change. People have been known to change their religions, change their politics. And even if you don't change over your whole lifetime, it's still not what you are. It's just some stuff you think. And when people identify with and think that's what they are, that's why we have wars. Right? That's why we have, we've got this nice fiery political season going on now. We have, and when people really think, okay, that being this religion is my identity, then anyone who has a different religious orientation is a threat to that. So then, you got to convert them or kill them. So it's real. So every time you sit down in this neutral space of meditation, where you're allowing the thoughts to just come and go, and not buying into any thoughts that you have, not answering the door when they come knocking, you're creating world peace. And I say that very seriously. You're creating world peace. You are invigorating the space of not taking thoughts seriously, that space of wonderful, sublime neutrality. And I may be crazy, but I think on some level you're making that space more available to other people in some subtle way. You're like little air conditioners, helping clear the air for the rest of the globe. So what you're doing when you sit every day for a few minutes doing this is really important. And it's such a relief to be, that, because then when you come back to your thoughts, you come back to being a Democrat or an existentialist or, you know, whatever floats your boat. You can still have those thoughts, but more and more they are, what's the disclaimer they put in some book? You know, it's for entertainment value only. What's, what do you want to ask about? Okay, it's time for a break, right? Let's take a, oh, okay, right? Yes, it's time for a break. So we're going to, so we're going to break for 5 minutes or so. People can go to the bathroom. We've got books and CDs back on the table where Yafa is. I'll be happy to sign books for people. I want to make, if you don't have this book, I like all my books. This is the last one. This one, if you don't have any, this is the, if you don't have this book, I really, really seriously recommend this book. I've been getting, see, mine has a gold sticker on it. This one won the Nautilus Gold Award for the best book on mind, body, spirit practices of 2015. #1 Amazon bestseller in stress management. But it's everything I know pretty much is in here. All the stuff we're talking about. And I keep getting emails from people all over the US and beyond, in Australia and Europe, saying, yeah, this thing really, you know, made it clear for me. And we've got this in paperback and also as an audio book on CDs. So if you don't have this, I really want to recommend you walk out with this one. And oh yes, and Yaf is holding it. Would you hold that up again? If you've not filled out one of those, if you would fill out that piece of paper, I'll put you on my email list. Once in a while, I send out a newsletter, and also I'll send you a link for a free download of a guided meditation audio. So please do that. Okay, so let's break for 5-10 minutes. Yes. Right. Right.
They were already up and away before I got a chance to do that.
Ah, okay.
We're presenting this on a donation basis.
One. So easy for me to say, we just sit and rest as awareness, and the boundless nature of awareness spontaneously, like a feather falling out of the sky, comes into the foreground. And as you've experienced it, it does. It does. You've experienced with greater or lesser clarity. And as you continue to practice, it'll be greater and greater clarity. So that happens to everyone who keeps practicing. Easy for me to say that because what do you have going on here as we sit in the room that you're not going to have when you go home? You're not going to have me. Okay? You're not going to have some guy sitting up here with a soothing voice who, every once in a while gives you a little reminder and a little to, so I'm obviously not the thing, but I'm pointing to the thing. So in a sense, I'm functioning, or anytime you're sitting and someone is guiding or leading meditation, he or she is functioning kind of as the on-ramp. Okay, the on-ramp ultimately is something that we use to get past, to get on the express lane, the diamond lane, right? The Vajra lane, for our Vajrayana friends, the diamond lane of just zooming along. So when you practice at home, there are various kinds of on-ramps that you may want to use. Perhaps the simplest is the breath. So let's do this now. So we could just be sitting, and so simple, without learning a lot of complicated breathing exercises. Just paying attention, breathing a little slower and a little deeper than usual. So let's paying attention. Breathe in. Maybe hold for a few moments, and then paying attention, breathe out. And done. You may notice that, there's something nice, something settling about that. Okay, let's do another one while we're at it. So again, breathing in, paying attention. Retaining for a few moments. And then paying attention, breathing out. And now we're done. Or let's do one more. Breathing in. Retaining and breathing out. And now let's forget about the breath. Let it take care of itself. Just sitting with the eyes closed. Let everything take care of itself. Sounds are there, fine. Sensations are there, fine. Thoughts are there, feelings are there, fine. Whatever. We just rest in the middle of it. Leave it as it is. Nothing to do about it. Doesn't matter what the thoughts are, what the feelings are. They're all just different kinds of clouds coming and going in this sky of awareness. Not trying to get anywhere or get back to anywhere. Any thoughts about getting anywhere or doing anything or accomplishing anything are just thoughts. Exactly like thoughts about what you're going to have for dinner. And all those thoughts are swimming around within awareness. Where else could they be? Just rest as that awareness. Rest as that open space within which everything comes and goes frictionlessly. Now let's take a minute or two and slowly open the eyes. But take your time. Okay, how are we doing? Any questions? Observations? So you see how breath could be an on-ramp. Just, And you could be with the breath, whatever we did there, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. You could do it sometimes for a few minutes. If you've been running around doing a lot of things during the day, you may really want to sit and be with the breath for a little while before letting go of it. There's also some of you, maybe, especially if you've taken yoga classes, you may be familiar with, there's some breathing exercise, which actually I give instructions for in the book, alternate nostril breathing, which kind of adds a little more sauce to the thing. And you can do that for a little while. But again, then the whole point of these on-ramps is then you use them for a little while, then let them go. And in principle, anything can be an on-ramp. Something you gaze at. You can be gazing at the, surface of the ocean. We're perfectly situated for that. In Tibet, they don't have the ocean, they have the sky. So, and I've got a chapter about this in the book, Sky Gazing Meditation, where they sit back and just keep their eyes open and just settle their gaze into the boundlessness of the open sky. Or if there's some enlightened person, some spiritual person that you relate to, you can, gaze at their picture, gaze at the, if gazing at the picture of Jesus or the Blessed Virgin or the Buddha or Padmasambhava. There's a famous picture, actually, this is from Vajrayana Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism. There's a famous representation of Padmasambhava, who was the founder of Tibetan Buddhism. The statue of him is called Looks Like Me, because the legend is that when he went, it was the first monastery in Tibet, Samye Monastery, and someone made the sculpture of him, and then the story goes, Padmasambhava looked at it and said, looks like me. And then supposedly he did some mojo, he chanted some special mantras or something, and he said, now it's the same as me. That he somehow did some mojo to invest it with his presence. And if you look at the pictures of this thing, and his eyes are and a lot of people, they'll just sit, and that's their meditation. Just look at those eyes and, okay, got it. Okay. So it could be, it could be anything. It can be sound. Mantra. Okay, it can be natural sound, can be mantra. And you're all probably familiar with certain mantras like Om. My favorite is the universal mantra. People in every language, every culture use this one. Ah. All right. See, the thing about mantras is they're connected with different states. Different sounds tend to be connected with and tend to evoke different states of consciousness. So, heavy metal tends to evoke one kind of consciousness. Mozart tends to evoke another kind of consciousness. What is evoked by letting go? Letting go. That's when we let go and everything's fine. When we sink the putt, when we get the crossword puzzle, 47 across, whatever, orgasm, whatever, just, so I've been told. I have this friend, he had an orgasm once and didn't like it. So instead of waiting for something external to happen, like we solved the crossword puzzle, maybe we'll never solve the crossword puzzle. Maybe we're done having orgasms, or or eating ice cream or whatever it is. So we again, we're one banana peel away from losing all that stuff. One missed heartbeat away from losing all that stuff. We never know. But we can still, instead of depending on some external circumstance, we can just say, let's try that. Breathing in. Let's breathe in together. Ah. And again. Ah. Now let's do it the way the Tibetans do it, which is to sing it. Breathing in. And at the end of the sound, keep your jaw hanging open just a little bit. Keep it soft. Don't close, as if you're still making the sound. Again, breathing in. Keep the jaw hanging open. A little bit soft, the whole face soft, the whole body soft. Let's do it again. Breathing in. The jaw hang open a little, mouth a little open, face open, all the pores of the body open. Just remaining in this natural openness. Just letting everything come and go as it comes and goes. And even to say let it come and go is to say too much. Do we really have a choice? It comes and goes. You can try to control it if you want, but it's a lot of work. And if you could control it, so what? When do you get paid for all that work? So you may as well quit. Take that job and shove it. Just remain in natural openness. As you already are. And let's slowly open the eyes. Do you notice that this resting as awareness is becoming more familiar, right? As we dip in and dip out, dip in for a minute or 5 or 20 or 3, whatever, come out more and more. Oh yeah, right here. There's nowhere to go. It's right here. We're just resting in place. It's the same awareness. It's awareness. After a while, you may realize even this business of closing the eyes is completely optional. We close the eyes because people feel like they need to close their eyes. But we don't have to close our ears, right? What if we just rest our gaze? We can do this. Just rest the gaze kind of softly in front of you in a completely natural way. We're not staring. We're not trying not to blink. We're just... And it doesn't have to be on one spot. We could rest the gaze over here for a while. You know, it's no better or worse than anywhere else. Oh, guess what? Sounds come and go within this awareness. Thoughts and feelings come and go within this awareness. Colors. The only difference is when you close the eyelids, we can't even close our eyes. We're just closing the eyelids. We're always seeing something. When we close the eyelids, we see more subtle colors. When we open them, colors are a little more solid. And whatever's there, we can rest. That's awareness. Rest as awareness. Whatever's there, just rest aware. That rhymes, so it must be true. Whatever's there, just rest aware. That's good for when you're meditating at the red light, because then you see when it turns green. When you're at work and you want to take a meditation break, and you're sitting in your cubicle with your, or your office with the computer in front of you, and you don't want the boss to think you're a slacker, keep your eyes open and you let your gaze relax around the perimeter of the monitor. You sit there. It looks like you're really intent on your work. The boss walks by and goes, she's really on it. And you're just happily spacing out. So anything can be the on-ramp. Let me read you a little bit about another favorite mantra of mine. Years ago, I was on a plane from Texas to New Jersey, coming home from a retreat with my friend Jody. This was Dzogchen Osel Ling in Texas. I'd been going through some intense emotional turbulence, and she gave me a teaching that's one of the most profound I've ever received. Dean, she said, just remember this. No matter what's happening, you can't have a bad time as long as you say, wee! Try it. Seriously, it may be all the mantra you'll ever need. Okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Wee! One more time. 1, 2, 3. Wee! Now, what happens when you say wee? You smile. You physically, you anatomically cannot say that without smiling. And mind-body connection works both ways. So when you smile, that it changes. And when you do those bright, shiny sounds, right? That stimulates, again, certain kind of style of consciousness. This is kind of the key mantra for our marriage. Honey, the toilet is stopped up. Whee! Right? And then you take care of the toilet. Right? I did a workshop a couple of months ago for car dealers in Morristown, New Jersey. Actually, if you look at last month, August issue of the Oprah magazine, I'm featured in there. There's an article about my workshop for car salesmen in Morristown, New Jersey. And it was great. I walked in there and I went, okay. And I see these guys, these big Tony Soprano type guys walking in, and I thought, okay, I am out of the yoga studio ghetto now. Yes. I'm with some real people, Main Street America. These guys were great. They were they were so sincere and open and recognized their need for this thing, and they loved we, and they use that a lot in their like sales meetings now. I don't know. But as a matter of fact, there's a number of, you may be familiar with this, a number of corporations that use this stuff in a very serious way. Ray Dalio, the head of Morningstar, the biggest hedge fund in the world, he's been meditating since the 70s. He encourages his people to meditate. Aetna Insurance, the head of Aetna started meditating. He's got free meditation classes for all of his staff now. Their numbers went up. Seattle Seahawks have it as part of their training. They've been to a Super Bowl or two in the last couple of years. U.S. Marine Corps is starting to use it. So we're really past the old days of that people just dismissing this as some weirdo hippie cult thing for spiritual eccentrics like us. Yeah, it's getting to Main Street, which is great. Yafa and I were earlier this year, last year, it's all a blur. We were flown down to Guatemala by something called the Young Presidents Organization, which is a network of guys, men and women. The three criteria are: you have to be under the age of 50, you have to head a company with at least 50 employees, and your annual revenues have to be at least $50 million. Okay, so we had two groups. One was the Young Presidents, and this was in a very luxurious backyard in the Bel Air type section of Guatemala City. The rest of Guatemala City is like Detroit times 7. And then our other workshop was actually in the rainforest of Tikal, where the Mayan ruins are. And this was with the Young President's wives. And they were from all over Central Latin America. And that was great. So here's these guys, these heads of these very, heavy corporate heavy hitters. The wives were great. When we were flying back from the rainforest back to Guatemala City, and they put their music on the speaker and they were dancing in the aisles, and then the flight attendants came out. Oh, they're going to get in trouble. They had the flight attendants dancing with them. So that was great. So in our last trip to India, this is a mantra that we learned, which is considered to be a mantra of healing. So just in case this one talks to you at all, you can just let this wash over you if you like. And in particular, if you know anyone, if you or anyone you know is in need of healing, which is just about everyone, one way or another, you could have some sense of this going out to them. Or just let it wash over you. Hari Om, 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 Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. It's not really translatable. It doesn't signify, it doesn't, like you can make a sound, you can make the sound air and it means something like this, or a bo and it means something like this. But Hari Om doesn't point to anything outside of itself. That's the nature of mantra. It does, on one level, mantras can, mean, oh, this refers to this God or this spiritual aspiration or something. But ultimately, they're used for their sound value. So we could say the meaning of it is what you experience when you sink into it. Let me say one thing, however, and I do go into this in the book, but this is good to do live, because a lot of people like to use that mantra Om, but most people mispronounce it, including a lot of people in India, okay, because they see it spelled with, our Roman alphabet, O-M, and they say Om. Okay, let's say it that way for starters. Om, Om. Okay, so it vibrates in the lips. When you get to the vibration is limited to the lips. It's not really the letter M. And actually, when you see it transcribed carefully, you'll see a little dot under or over the letter M, which means it's actually something called anuswara, which means a following sound. Okay, so in French, the word for good is bon. Okay, can you say that? Bon, bon. And there's that at the end. It's not bon. It's not like our ng bon, but it's bon, bon, bon. We have it subtly when we say huh, right? H-U-H. We don't say huh. We say huh. It goes up into the nose and to the top of the palate a little bit. Try that, huh? Huh? You feel that at the end of it. Actually prolong it at the end. Huh. Okay, now say bon, bon. Now take off the B. Om. That's how you pronounce O-M. Om. And at the very end, you could lightly bring the lips together. You feel there's some gravity to that. So, any of this stuff, it's all available, and it's all optional. Okay, so we use the on-ramps. My advice is use the on-ramps. Don't fetishize the on-ramps. That's how religions are invented. Good. What else? I want to talk about one more kind of on-ramp, and that has to do with other people. And this is something you can do in various forms. So the discovery that we make through meditation, as we said, is that, oh, I'm not a name, I'm not a body, I'm not this constellation of thoughts, that or personality, all this stuff. These are all phenomena of which I am the witness. I am non-phenomenal, boundless awareness. I'm not a person. But most of the time, it sure seems like I'm a person relating to other persons. Okay, we have this I and thou thing. It really seems like it's me over here and it's you over there. So what if we could flip this around and use that situation of the apparent duality of you and me? What if we could use that as an on-ramp that could be extremely powerful? Okay, as one of my teachers put this. Do you know Charles Genoux? Wonderful Buddhist teacher. We made a connection during the break. We have share some Buddhist teachers in our track record. Charles, this wonderful Buddhist teacher from Switzerland, as I heard him explain it, he said, I and you, self and other, is like here and there. Everyone agrees that there's a here, but everyone disagrees about where it is. Right? To me, it seems obvious that here is over here. I'm looking from here. I'm looking out at all of you over there. But each of you thinks, no, I'm here, and Sluyter's over there. But that's clearly foolish. Okay, so it's the same with self and other. We all agree that there's a self, but we all disagree about who it is. Right? There's 7 billion people on the planet. One of them got elected self. His name is Dean. Right? All the others, they're others. Right? And in my eyes, looking out through my eyes, exactly. But see, we tend to get stuck in that perspective. And there's some wonderful, actually, Tibetan, traditional Tibetan practices just contemplating that. There's one that the Dalai Lama teaches sometimes, where the old-fashioned scale, balance scale, that if you're old enough, you remember using that in your chemistry class, right? It's like the scales of justice. Okay, so what you do is you do this whole visualization where you visualize, okay, in one pan of the scale is you. And then you watch as the other 7 billion people all climb into the other one. So here's you with your concerns, your needs, your desires, and there's all of them with theirs. And then you watch and see, which way does the scale go, right? And it's right, you laugh because it's so ridiculous, it's so obvious that everyone there is so much way more important, 7 billion times more weighty, more important than our stuff. And yet, emotionally, practically, how do we live our lives? Exactly the opposite of that. Right? It's completely untenable. So what if we could do some stuff to break out from that, at least a little bit, to soften it up? And there's a number of things we can do. So here's one, very simply. We're back at the red light. And you can sit there suffering because it's a red light. Right? Now, what makes it a red light? What makes it a red light is your identification with this is the self. Guess what? On the cross traffic, there's a bunch of others. What if instead of being completely caught up in identifying with this one over here, with Dean at the red light, what if you identify with all those people, just for these next 2-3 minutes, who are enjoying the green light? And enjoy it with them. Enjoy it on their behalf. Join them in their delight. Can you see? Can you feel that? Can you feel how acutely that demonstrates that suffering is caused by identification with a limited self? If we can be not caught up in that, then, you know, the stuff is still happening, but it's not happening to us. It's just happening. You know, we all want to be the self. We all want to be the us when things are going great, right? When things are going not so great, where's the emergency exit, right? But it can be a little tough if we wait. You know, if we wait till we're having the stroke or we're whatever. You know, and then, okay, now I want to, let's see, what was that stuff about not being the self? You know, you got to do the fire drill before the fire, right? And, you know, especially if you've spent some time, and probably most of you have, and, you know, and I know I have visiting relatives in the nursing home where they, you know, they've slipped on the banana peel and now they can't do stuff. And, you know, any of us can wind up in that situation where we can't, you know, basically we can just sit and be. Well, that's, you know, if you've done the drill, hey, just sitting and just being, there's nothing better. So this is one way we can practice with self and other, whatever it is, the cross traffic, you know, the meeting, you know, there's the sales meeting or the faculty meeting or whatever. I was a school teacher for a bunch of years. I hated faculty meetings, department meetings. Everyone had to get up and make their little speech, and come on, give me the memo. But, you know, everyone wanted to make their speech, and because it was their chance to be on stage. And then I heard this teaching. I got this teaching from Charles, and I realized, okay, I can sit here suffering, being Dean, stuck having to listen to everyone else, or I can identify with that other person who's up there giving his talk and having his moment in the sunlight. Ah, how lovely. How lovely for him/me. Okay? So I want to do one other practice here that I want to get a little deeper into that that really works with this principle. And for this one, we're going to start with a notion of what we call the benefactors. And in this context, by benefactor, we mean someone who in your life has given you unconditional love. Love, support. Maybe not for a lifetime. Maybe it was for 10 seconds, you know. But just that you felt that love, that appreciation, that they got what it is that's precious in you, and that they had that feeling of total support for that, and the wish for you just to thrive and to be happy. Okay, so maybe it was your mom or your dad, maybe it was your wonderful grandma or grandpa or auntie or uncle, maybe it's your child, maybe it's your dog, you know, maybe it's it could be a spiritual figure, it could be the Buddha or Jesus or the Blessed Virgin or, you know, Neem Karoli Baba or Padmasambhava or whoever floats your boat. But don't make it the like official ones, the ones that you feel like you're supposed to venerate. You're supposed, you know, that who have you really, and here's how you know, the ones that are really the benefactors, when you think of them, you feel like smiling. No, the person, forget about benefit, but just the person that you feel you have felt love and support from, that they have loved and supported and cherished you. Okay? So it could be could be a teacher that you had, whether a spiritual teacher or a school teacher or a coach. Okay? Everyone got at least one? Okay. And by the way, even just this, what we've just done now, going through, oh wait, who have been my benefactors? That's a wonderful exercise, even if you do nothing else with this. To realize, oh yeah, and go back to this part, because then you'll find, oh yeah, there was this one. Oh yeah, there's. Then you start to realize there have been a lot of wonderful lighthouses for me in this life that I may not have really fully acknowledged. Okay, so but just for now, just we have one that we're going to be using for the purposes of this exercise. So let's again sit comfortably. And close your eyes. Let's take a nice, slow, deep breath in. Hold it for a moment. And then out. And now just let the breath be however it is. Let everything be however it is. Once again, just resting as the open space, the open sky of awareness. Oh yeah, here we are. We've never left here. Where could we go? The thoughts come and go, but thoughts are just things. They're just clouds coming and going in this sky of awareness. They're not us. They don't really matter. The feelings come and go, the sounds come and go. Just resting as the silence, as the awareness, as the non-phenomenal witness of all the phenomena. There's nothing we have to do to be that. We can't help being that. Now, within this open space of awareness, please imagine your benefactor floating in the space above your head. That's it. They're there. You don't have to try to visualize them clearly. The moment you just think of that, that's it. You're done. The benefactor floating in the space above your head. And we can imagine that this feeling of unconditional love and support and cherishing that the benefactor has for you is radiating down upon you in the form of pure, beautiful, brilliant light. Brilliant light of love streaming out of the benefactor and coming down through the top of your head. And filling your whole body, infusing and irradiating and cleansing your whole body with this brilliant, pure light of unconditional love. Penetrating all your tissues and organs, your bones, the marrow of your bones, if there are any areas of your body where you have injuries or illness, let them receive an extra dose of this cleansing, purifying light, so that those areas that seemed problematic become the portals for receiving this beautiful light. And just let it penetrate every cell of the body. Nothing you have to do. You're just being open, just receiving this light. It's the benefactor who radiates it. You're just receiving it, basking in it, marinating in it. So that every bit of every atom of the body is becoming completely purified and cleansed by this light of pure love that's streaming down through the top of your head. And now let it penetrate deeper than the body to the thoughts, the whole web of thoughts that we've been weaving for the whole lifetime. Let them all be irradiated and purified by this white light and dissolved into this pure, brilliant light. And deeper than the thoughts, the feelings, all the feelings, the so-called positive and so-called negative feelings, lifetime of feelings, completely irradiated and purified by this brilliant light of love. And dissolving into that light. Including the most primal reptilian feeling of, I must survive, the feeling of being threatened, the fear of being extinguished, the fear of death. Let that be completely purified and dissolved in that light. And deeper than that, the sense of a separate self, the sense that there's anyone separate to survive, the sense of being a separate being, the very kernel of that sense, let that be purified and dissolved in that light. And as you continue to sit there dissolved into this brilliant light pouring down from the benefactor, now in the space in front of you, please imagine someone that you know and feel fine about, no particularly intense feeling, a neighbor, a colleague, a friend. It's the first one you think of is fine. And again, you don't have to visualize them clearly. It's already, you've invoked their presence. You're done. And as this light of unconditional love continues to stream down from the benefactor through the top of your head, now let it stream out through the front of your chest and stream to that friend or neighbor or colleague. Irradiating them, purifying and dissolving their body, every organ and tissue and cell of their body. And deeper than that, all their thoughts. As this light streams down from the benefactor through the top of your head, out the front of your chest, purifying and dissolving all their thoughts, the friend's thoughts. And deeper than that, all their feelings. All of the feelings, all the way down to that primal drive for survival, that fear of death. Dissolving. And then even their sense of being a separate being, completely dissolved in that pure light of unconditional love. And now let the three of you, the benefactor above you and the friend in front of you, all completely dissolve into that light. So that there's nothing but light everywhere, all pervasive, pure light of love. No direction, no limit. And now let even that light dissolve. So there's nothing but the awareness space within which we've been doing this practice. And just rest as that awareness, as you've always been. And take a few minutes to slowly open the eyes. How are we doing? It's pretty powerful, isn't it? One thing when you do this practice, it's good to have a box of Kleenex nearby. A lot of crying can take place. It's a good thing. So I want to finish. Just have 2 minutes here. Be right on time. I want to read something about. There's a chapter about this kind of practice in the book. It's called Meditation on Love, and I give essentially the instructions we just did, along with some more about how you might want to extend this practice and expand it. Um, so I walk you through the practice, and then please note the psychological brilliance of the way this practice is structured. First, we learn to receive unconditional love. For some people, this is the most challenging part. But it doesn't matter whether we feel worthy, whether we feel lovable and precious. The benefactors, with their more enlightened vision, see that we are worthy, and who are we to argue? Just the mechanical process of receiving their light puts us in the position of accepting their love. Then, by allowing their love to penetrate through the body to the deepest levels of our being, irradiating and dissolving everything that seems to make us a separate person, we experience how love goes beyond the personal to the universal, showing us that what we are goes beyond the personal to the universal. Then we allow the love light to come through us and do all that for others. In this way, we step up and become junior varsity benefactors ourselves. Working out first in the little gym behind our closed eyes, getting in shape for the marathon task, the joyful marathon task of shining love throughout the world. You don't have to say a word about it. Just be what you are, what the benefactors have shown you you are. This is not just a pipe dream. There are people like this. I once had the great privilege of interviewing Mr. Rogers on the phone. Many people don't know that he was an ordained minister, although he never preached religion as such. His ministry was his years of producing television and writing songs that gently calmed children's fears, like "You Can Never Go Down the Drain," and songs that offered them unconditional love, like "It's You I Like." By the way, there's a video on YouTube of Mr. Rogers singing "It's You I Like" to Joan Rivers, not to be missed. I was doing research on mentors, and Mr. Rogers told me how his life's work had been inspired by a great theology professor he had at seminary, an eccentric character who used to chain smoke through his lectures, occasionally setting off small wastebasket fires with his discarded cigarette butts. In wintertime, he would often take a walk and return without his overcoat because he had given it to some homeless person. Over time, Mr. Rogers noticed that the professor, despite his own brilliance, never criticized people, but always found ways to make them right, even if he had to stretch, and then used that positivity to inspire them to reach higher. Finally, Mr. Rogers asked him how he had come to be that way. "It came to me while I was studying the Gospels," the professor answered. "One day I realized that the opposite of fault-finding is love, and I would rather love." Near the end of our talk, Mr. Rogers somehow managed to turn the interview around and make it about me. He started telling me what a wonderful person I was and what a wonderful teacher I was, how I must have changed the lives of so many students. Suddenly I was crying. Through my tears, I realized that he wasn't just making something up to be nice. By receiving the light of clear, loving vision from his benefactor, the professor, he had seen the luminous, perfect being at his own core. Now he was streaming it to me and seeing the perfection at my core. And now I do my best to stream it to you. Your turn. As Jesus said, "Love one another as I have loved you." As the Grateful Dead sang, "Turn on your love light, let it shine." Thank you. So good to be with you today. Please stay in touch. Okay? I am around when a question comes up, when the practice, just having this conversation with Yafa on the way down about someone who's been demanding some attention from me. And I said, it's fine. He's a sincere seeker. And for anyone who is really a sincere seeker, anyone who really wants to get this stuff straight, I'll do just about anything. So please stay in touch through the website. Don't be a stranger. Anything comes up you think I can be helpful with, do not hesitate. Email me, and let's rock and roll. Okay? I don't know. It's in the chapter on love, meditating on love. Okay. Thank you.